Right, so next on the list is solar panels. So we've experimented with a couple of different solar panels, mainly the fold-out type of solar panels. And to be honest, the results are pretty mixed. I don't think the quality maybe has been the highest of ones that you possibly can buy on the market. But as you can see here, we've now switched to a fixed solar panel, which we've got just temporarily lashed to the top of the boat. This should be on an arch at the back. That's a whole other story. But for now, we've just put it here to understand really what it will do and how it compares to the fold-out panels. Plus, while we're away, they always buy you time at anchor, and that's exactly what this panel's doing. So this is a fixed solar panel. It's a high output or a high efficiency model. And I've learned a little bit about this recently. Okay, so the specifications of this panel, let me just read them out to you. So it's 1665, so it's 166 millimeters, sorry, it's 166 centimeters by 84 centimeters, and it's 3.5 centimeters thick. The maximum voltage that this will output, its open circuit voltage, is 31.46 volts, and its maximum current is 10.77 amps. So its open circuit voltage is 31.46 volts, its max current is 10.77 amps, and its max voltage, its VPM, is 26 volts. Open short circuit, it's 11.53. So what does all that mean? Well, it means a number of different things really. When we've been using the fold-out solar panels, they maximum output from one of those is around sort of 18 volts. And on days where those are overcast or the sun's not very strong, then obviously it does get up to that voltage, but not all the time. And the higher the input voltage, the MPPT is then converting that down to 12 to 14 volts that we're actually using. So if we're starting in the 20s like we are with this, about 26, 27 volts, then we've got a bit more room to play with. It's going to start charging a little bit sooner, and it's also, when it converts that power down, we're going to get more output at the voltage that we need to charge our batteries at. So that's something I've learned from the fold-out solar panels. The voltages on those are only just above the device that it's kind of trying to charge, where this isn't. This is way up there, and it does seem to be making a lot of difference. Just to give you some comparisons, let's just have a look at the output at the moment. As you can see, it's obviously partially shaded. So if I just log on to the Victron controller, I'm currently getting, if I move out of the way and just don't shade it, it's obviously shaded by the boat because of the way we've got it. The boom's actually shading it at the moment. I'm still getting 40 watts out of this panel. And to be honest, I would only really get 40 watts out of the fold-out ones. Today, we have seen out of this panel 151 watts with it strapped to the top. Remember, it's a 280 panel, so again, still got some shading on it, but with the sun coming on the side when the boat was facing the other way, we were getting a lot more power out of it. And in 2 days, we got more power out of this solar panel in its location here than we did over the lifetime of the others. We generated over a kilowatt of power, 614 watt hours on one day, and the next day the batteries were pretty much fully charged, so couldn't take the power. So it's a huge jump in what we had before, and this is definitely the way to go. In my view, I don't think if you can mount something like this somewhere on your boat on an arch, then it's an absolute game changer. So much easier than the fold-out ones, and I'm sure you can get some really good quality ones. The Bluetti ones particularly, I know, are very good quality, and my opinion might be different if I'd have got one of those, but coming from what I have come from to this, I'm definitely in the solid fixed solar panel camp now. So the next item to discuss is the dinghy. So this is a 280 Vib, so it's a air rib, as they call them, made by 3D Tender. So we've had this boat now 3 years, and to be honest, we can't fault that. So when we first got it, we were a little bit concerned about the material. So the material on the top part is much more lightweight than the dinghies we've had in the past. It felt lighter, and it felt, I suppose, a little bit flimsy. They give you these chaps that go on the top, And I think that is there to help protect that material when you're sitting on it. If you've got anything sharp or you're putting anything sharp in the dinghy, it kind of helps to protect the tubes a little bit, but obviously it also protects them from the sun as well. So the only exposed bit is the bit along the bottom here. Now the floor itself is much thicker. It's got a thick rubbing strip down the centre, and it just feels a bit more substantial than the tubes do themselves. So when you're dragging it up the beach and things like that, we haven't had any problems. We've got no leaks with that dinghy at all. As I say, 3 years now. So we're really impressed with it. The advantage of the tubes being lighter and that material being a lighter weight is obviously the weight of the dinghy is a lot less. So when you are coming to pick it up and drag it up the beach, then it is a lot lighter. The seat can be moved, as you can see, and obviously you get, oars and other bits and bobs with it. You do get a replacement set of chaps, which are white and white lifelines. We just stuck with the black, although, as I say, they have faded and gone to this kind of purpley grey colour now. But yeah, it's been brilliant. We don't really look after it like all tenders. It does get dragged up the beach. It does get dumped on the back of the boat. There's always sand in it. There's always some sort of rubbish in it. But it's held up really, really well. Nice thing with this in particular is that you can see it sits much higher in the water. So when you pump that floor up compared to the other dinghy, the tubes are in the water. The tubes are hardly in the water with this, just the back bit is. So it does feel a bit more like a rib does, and being higher out of the water with the floor, when it is choppy, it just gives a drier ride. So it makes a lot of difference, really. I don't think there's anything else to say on that, really. I'd buy another one of those. I wouldn't even consider it. I'd just buy another one if something happens to it. I think it's definitely done really well, and yeah, we'd happily have another one. So the engine, the E-Propulsion engine, we've had that 5 years now, and again, I would happily recommend E-Propulsion and those outboards. Again, that just gets picked out of the locker and put straight on there, and away we go. We do virtually no maintenance to it. I don't think we've done anything to it at all since we've had it, other than we wipe the leg down when it goes back in the locker after use. But literally charge the battery, plug it in, and away you go. You're definitely not going to win any races with it. It's not fast, but it is economical. So just going from here to the shore, which is just over there, if it's just me and the dog, we basically put it on maybe 100 to 200 watts to get across there, and we're across there in seconds. So for journeys like that, yeah, absolutely brilliant. If I'd maybe got to go down to Carnarvon, which is all the way down there, maybe not. It probably would make it, well, it would make it, but it'd be slow. And that's the kind of the compromise. But the advantage of that is you see it all the time. The guys and girls are getting their engines out of the lockers, and then they're trying to pull start them, and the fuel's gone off and all of that faff. None of that. Charge the battery, put it on, off you go. So that's yeah, happily buy another one of those. If I had to make a recommendation on that, it would be more power, but not changing the battery. So for me, I'd have a 2 kilowatt one instead of a 1,000 watt or 1 kilowatt one, but with the same range, because I don't need the range, but a bit extra power would be nice. I don't know whether that would actually make a lot of difference. It'd be interesting to try, because you get up to a certain speed and it just doesn't go any faster. So it's handy when we're all on board and it's a bit, choppy or something like that. But other than that, yeah, fantastic. Great combination. As I say, to be honest, I'd buy both of those again. So one of the other things that got a lot of attention on our channel was the Scrubbis. So we've been using this now for, I think, 2 years. And again, very, very pleased with it. The attachment on the end, the kind of the foam piece, has had a little bit of a battering, you can see. We're probably due to replace that soon, and especially on the back. Some of that was done very early on with it, before we started to always clean the boat with the plastic piece first and then move to this if you need to. But to be honest, it works better that way round, I think. I think if you just attach it on so that you're using the plastic and the foam, that's probably the best way to use it. But we've just recently used it again and cleaned the hull, and the hull is lovely and clean now. And yeah, it just gets it off. It's just really good. So I'd happily recommend this. One of the things that we have had to do with it is because they give you an aluminium tube, as you can see here, we've had a bit of corrosion on this bit. And this had one of those little push buttons to push it together. So this piece goes onto there and it just clicks together. Now that fell apart, unfortunately. This is corroded and the little spring clamp thing just fell out. So what we've had to do is we've drilled right the way through, and now we actually put like a pin in it. So that then goes onto there, and we put a pin now right through there. So that's the only modification we've had to make. Unfortunately, with this being aluminium, it makes it nice and light, but yeah, aluminium, seawater and stainless don't tend to mix. So that would be my only comment on that one. But other than that, the handle and the extension are all in good shape. This is all good. Like I say, this is at least 2 years old and has been used many times. So this is also in pretty good shape. So yeah, would happily recommend the Scrubbis and buy another one of those.
I have a comment on the Scrubbis. So my comment on the Scrubbis, although it's very, very good, you need to be really quite fit to use it.
Yeah.
So that would be my thing. I can use it, but I can't get the same result as what Matt can. You need quite a bit of upper body strength. In saying that, yeah, absolutely, half an hour scooting around the boat on the dinghy and the bottom's lovely and clean, which is great, but you do need to be reasonably fit and you do need some good upper body strength.
Yeah, particularly in if you're trying to do it in an anchorage. Yeah. So that's one other thing with it, because we've done it here. We've used the dinghy alongside, because that is easier than doing it from the boat. That's probably another good thing to actually mention. Doing it from the boat is fairly easy, but you have to reach quite a long way out. So you need to do it from a dock or from the dinghy. I find the best results from the dinghy. And Chris is right, particularly if there's current, the buoyancy in the end of the thing is really quite strong. And the current obviously just wants to take it left and right. So yeah, that's a fair point. But I think we'd definitely buy one again. It's been really good, apart from the fact that the little spring clip thing has just corroded to bits.